Hello, hello, hello. My name's Joe,
And I am Shmo.
and this will be episode 3 of our podcast. And we'll be talking about our journeys through A school, as well as what is A school, and anything else that we can think of pertaining that part of your military career.
Yes. So let's start off with what is A school for, again, side note, this is geared towards people who are going into the military. This is our third segment of this whole month cycle of talking about military topics. So A school is your first schooling that you are going to go through pertaining to your specific job or MOS or rate or whatever your branch calls it. So, what would you say A school is in your own words, your own definition?
So, so I was actually explaining this to my mother yesterday. So, first off, shout out mom. But uh, I explained boot camp as like elementary school, right? So like they're like holding your hand and they're making sure that you do everything the correct way. And then I explained A school as like high school, right? It's like you have like a bit more responsibility
Yeah.
and they're
C school.
huh?
C school, you mean? C school is high school?
A school is high school.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Proceed. I'm having a moment right
Okay. So
now.
boot camp would be like elementary school in that you are very much having your hand be held the entire time. And high school, the the hand holding is a bit less. There is still quite a bit, but it is not as much as there was in elementary school. So I compared A school to high school, and when we do talk about C school, which I believe will be the next episode, but that that I likened it to college, where like almost all of the reins are off. You are essentially having to become an adult, and and that definitely changes depending on which C school and or A school you go to. But uh, the idea and the point that I am trying to get across is I think A school is similar to high school.
I would agree, only I would put it in terms a little bit more differently.
Hmm.
So okay. So I would say boot camp for me, it was very, very easy. But however, for like people that are just leaving the nest for the first time, I would say that is like the extension of your high school. Like it is just, it's there,
Yeah.
you're kind of on your own. You're there. You don't really have your parents to help you. And then your A school is like your uh, undergrad years of college. So freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year of college. Um, and then C school, which we'll get into next realm, is like graduate school. Or I don't really want to say like med school, but it's definitely a graduate school of your undergrad years. It's a little bit more focused in a specific ordeal, but we'll get into that next episode.
Hmm.
Um, where did you have your A school at?
So I had A school down in Pensacola, Florida, uh, and there are a lot of locations that you can have A school.
So we have a link that we'll put into the description box, talking about, I'm pretty sure every single job within our branch that we are talking about. If you guys have not picked up on what our branch is by now, it'll definitely say it in the link of
Hmm.
what the branch is that we are in.
Yeah.
Um, I too was in Pensacola, Florida, for my job since we both had the same job.
Hmm.
Um, but majority of aviation jobs go to Pensacola, Florida. Um, I don't really know why. It's just the way that our branch works, and
Yeah.
it is what it is. But like I said, we will link the link down below of the states in which your specific job will be training at for a school at least.
Mm-hmm.
And then it will also give how long is your schooling for that. And then I'm sure it'll say other information as well. It'll give like side information about what specifically your job does and like what like the qualifications are once you get out of that schooling. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty in-depth website that I randomly saw it. If, however, the link does not upload, it is on operationmilitarykids.org.
Okay.
So we'll link it in just to see if it doesn't go in, then now you can have the website. So let's talk about why do we have this schooling?
So when you choose your rate or your MLS, when you are at MEPS and you sign on that line, you are then saying that you are willing to do this job. And with any job, whether it is as a civilian or in the military, you will probably need training, right? So the training can last from either weeks to months, and I believe some of the longer schooling can be years, and the shorter can be just like a few weeks. So the reason why you have a school or AIT is because the job you have selected requires you to know a certain amount of knowledge, and the branch you are joining is then supplying you that knowledge, and you are then responsible for knowing that information when you get to your next duty station and when your advancement tests come along.
Yeah. I would agree. So it's basically your baseline knowledge, like the bare minimum knowledge that you are required to know prior to getting to the fleet, or I'm pretty sure the Air Force calls it like the wing or something like that. I don't know, or the flag. I don't know what Air Force calls it.
Cool.
Yeah, super bougie. So depending upon your job, it's going to depend upon how many months you are there in training. So I know, like you said before, some schoolings can be a little bit longer than others. I know that our schooling was considered one of the longer schoolings where we were at, just because of how tedious and
all the content we had to cover as well.
Yeah, it's very meticulous on what you had to learn, especially the basics. If you don't know the basics of our job, then it's kind of a scary thing working with, the tools that we're working with later on down the line. I know for other jobs that don't require that much meticulous information and detail, they're really not that long. It's maybe a month or two long.
Yep.
However, caveat to that is that they could be in this like holding, like of just waiting for like months and months on end because their schooling could be so backed up with students there learning. I know for me, my schooling was not backed up at all. I stayed in what they call the in-doc phase for, I want to say like a week or a week and a half.
Yeah.
And then during that week and a half, I had my basic in-doc shit, which you're going to be doing no matter where you go. So no matter which station that you're assigned to or command or whatever you call it, you're always going to be in your in-doc phase. It's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's like the grunt work that you have to do, so people have on file of like, hey, this person is like an actual person. They're part of this. And we have like a sample of like their urine tests or height, weight, or whatever they make you do. They have it on file. It's just covering their asses here. So I know when I went through the in-doc phase, I had my urinalysis. I'm trying to think. Oh wait, this has been so long ago. had my urinalysis phase, which that took forever because there's more line waiting that I had to do. Um, and then I had to sit through this really, really long course talking about the basis rules of underage drinking,
Yeah.
of going off base, of having a buddy system, the basics that you need to know. Um, I met my chain of commands during that time. And then finally, once I got done with all of that, and I had to wear this uniform that I had to wear every day, and had to show up on time and know the base and this, that, and the other, I was put in the barracks, and we called it barracks support. And that wasn't terrible, but I know for some reason some of my friends in barracks support with me didn't uh, didn't do firefighting, but I did.
Mhm.
So I don't know why. I don't know if they just picked and choose depending upon like the job or whatever the case was, but I know that every single person in my class, or I'm pretty sure majority of people in my class, did firefighting that came in my like bus group from boot camp to A school.
Yeah.
Did you do firefighting?
I
Or
did
is that
not
just
do
a me thing?
firefighting.
That's crazy. That's so
Well,
weird. I
so
don't know why.
I was so I went from indoc phase straight into class. I was
Oh wow.
I was not in barrack support at all until after I graduated.
Yeah, yeah. That's weird. I know that some people that were in my class, so they were already there previously at our A school command prior,
Mhm.
that they got re-rated because they got dropped from a schoolhouse to go to a different school. Um, so I don't know if they did firefighting within that phase, but when I was in class with them, they said that they did not do firefighting. So I don't know why,
Yeah.
but it's just, it is what it is. You either get chosen for it or you don't.
Mhm.
Um, let's talk about, looking at my list here because I have my bullet points. Um, we're going to talk about finances in A school and how to deal with that, how to overcome that, and what you should and should not do from our personal experiences of what worked for us. We're not telling
Yes.
you guys that you have to do this, but it would just be very wise to take advice from people who have already been through the ringer, um, and their stories that they have heard from others that they have met.
Mhm.
So, what would your three biggest like tips be?
So when you finish boot camp, you're gonna have all the money that you have earned in boot camp. Uh, so whether that is you're making E3 pay, whether it is making E2 pay or E1 pay. Uh, and for those who don't know, there's a pretty big difference between E1 to E3 pay. At, at least when you first start. I want to say I want to say there's like a $600 difference per month. So it is definitely a big portion of change. Uh, so you're going to have a lot of money, or what could be a lot of money for a lot of people, and that is of course depending on your background. But you will have at least 4,000 or so dollars just like in your bank account, and what I've seen time and time again is people see that money and they just love to spend it. Whether it's on uniform items, whether it's on the newest tech, uh, or if you're of age, it it could very well be on
Alcohol.
the wonderful A word, alcohol. Uh, yeah. So my first piece of advice is probably like take a mental note and actually think of like what and or why do you want this item. Uh, next, so I know at our base there was an issue where people were being overpaid, and with that, please don't be naive and think that, oh, they just won't notice they overpaid me, because they they know,
They do.
they are well aware they have overpaid you, and because they've overpaid you, guess they're going to do next? They're going to underpay you, right? So if you get like a $5,000, like
Ag.
if you get a five thousand
Bill.
dollar check, don't go and spend it all, because over the next couple paychecks, you will be seeing probably close to zero. Probably close to zero. And if you have bills to pay, you better hope that you saved at least something, because
Hmm.
people will people will probably not spot you, like unless they're like family. But even still, it is it is no fun asking for money when they know that you get paid every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so making sure that you are checking your paychecks every 2 weeks and making sure they're not irregular, uh, looking at your taxes and making sure that's all normal. And something big that is actually decided in boot camp is whether or not you will pay a state tax. So there are certain states that allow the that allow people in the military to not pay state taxes. So I was fortunate enough to be in a state where I have no state taxes. So whenever I get paid every 2 weeks, I am not having my state taxes pulled out. I know that there are some states that do have state taxes. Excuse me. And I know that there are some states that have state taxes when you are working in that state, such as California, right? So if you are working and or on a base not in California, so say you are in Great Lakes still, and that is in Illinois, you will not be paying state taxes. But say you get stationed in California, you will then be paying your state taxes. So definitely be conscious of like, oh, like I have state taxes. And if you are fortunate enough to go to an A school or an AIT where there is no state tax for the military, definitely talk to somebody about possibly changing your residency to that state, because I don't know about you, but I like money. I'm a huge fan of having money, and the more money you have now, the potential of having even more money in the future is even higher. So if you can change your state of residency, definitely do it.
I would say my three biggest takeaways. So you pretty much hit all of them that I was thinking of. A lot of people, when I went through A school, they would spend their money on hotels, Airbnbs, uh, food, because they have food on base, like not restaurants, but like fast food,
Yep.
alcohol, and they would complain and they would say that they wouldn't have the money, but then you would look at everything that they would buy, and they wouldn't eat at the galley, DFAC, mess hall, whatever your branch calls it. They wouldn't eat there. And it's like, I know in some cases, depending upon the base that you go to, if you don't eat at that facility that the base provides for you, you can get reimbursed for the money that they take out for your BAS. Now, I know when I went through A school, they didn't do that, because you're A school students, you're supposed to live on base. You have not made rank to live off base.
Yep.
So it was really frustrating because you were essentially forced to eat at the galley or DFAC or mess hall or whatever you called it, even though you didn't like the food.
Yep.
But luckily, our base that we went to provided like a plethora of
Options.
like food options, so it was nice. Yeah. I think another thing that I saw, there was a fellow in my class who he lived in Hawaii, and he spent so much money. I don't even know on what. I could not tell you. But he was one of those people that blew his money on nonsense. So it would be like like clothing that he didn't need, or going to the mall. Ubers, buying Ubers and taxis. So much money went towards those
That can
specific
add up.
organizations. Oh my goodness. The taxi company probably loved my friend group. We went out every single weekend. It was so bad. It was so bad. But my friend group was awesome. We all split the cost. It was great. Um, but it adds up nonetheless. It adds up. So don't be fooled if you see a taxi fare of, oh, it's only $30. Okay, great. Now times that by 4 times 2 because you need to get there and from, so that's $60
Yeah.
plus 4 times because of 4 weekends. Like you just racked up so much money. Like that is a third of your paycheck.
I think also if you choose to go off base, which I would say at least make it off once, but if you go off base, the likelihood of you spending more money is so high, right? So like you have to pay for the like taxi or the Uber, and depending on where you go, you probably have to spend money where you go, right? It's like you go to the mall, you will probably want to buy clothes, you will probably want to buy food. So yes, it is great to get off base, and it is so refreshing to just get away from it. But at the same time, please be aware that if you go off base and you spend money, you will spend probably more money. And if you don't have a plan, or if you aren't with somebody who is also frugal, or at least have an idea of like what they don't want to spend their money on, then you guys will probably both be bouncing off each other, and it will just result in you guys spending a lot of money, and then you will be hurting the next week until you get paid next, and then you'll just repeat that process.
Friend group back at my A school, and they loved to drink. That was like their pastime. It didn't matter if we were on base, off base, regardless, which, it is what it is. A lot of people I know underage drank on base, or, they did a lot of things that they weren't supposed to do. And, unfortunately, it happens that sometimes, you can be as sneaky as you want, but you will eventually get caught. So
Yeah.
please, please, please don't underage drink on base. It's not worth it. It is not worth it at all. And even if you're going off base, make sure that you have an overnight, which means like you can stay out overnight. You don't have to be back on base the next day. Stay out overnight if you want to underage drink. I'm not endorsing it by any means, but if you feel like you need to release some stress, by all means, but make sure that you have an overnight so then you can sober up for the next day. So when you were able to walk back into your barracks, you are able to be sober, and then therefore you won't get caught.
Yeah.
It's being smart. You need to know how the system works. Again, I'm not endorsing underage drinking, but if that's what floats your goat, by all means, do it.
I think something also to go along with that. So I am underage, so I of course have never done any underage drinking because that is against the rules. However, it is definitely smart to know the rules, right? So like if you know that like you have to walk across the quarterdeck or walk into your building, and you know that somebody of rank will be there, probably don't walk into your barracks or the place you're living off your
Behind.
off your rocker, because they are aware that people are underage drinking, and I don't want to say that they will always bust you for it, but if you give them a reason to, they will. Uh, I think also something that is always repeated, no matter where you go, no matter what part of your journey you're in, is ORM, and that is operational risk management. And the idea behind that is to just always have a plan, right? And if plan A fails, go to plan B. And if you don't have a plan B, then you have messed up. right? So
Yeah.
it is always important to have a plan. And like Shmo said, staying out overnight is probably one of the best plans, right? Because you can do anything you want on that first night, and then you have 8 hours of sleep, or however long you guys choose to sleep for, to sober up and to be able to get your mind in the place to where you know that you can walk into your building and not give anybody a reason to ask you, hey, have you been underage drinking?
Yeah.
And if they ever ask that question and you know that you have been, and if they do a breathalyzer test right then and there and you will fail, don't don't lie.
Don't lie.
Don't do
Don't
it.
lie. God, don't
They
lie.
are not dumb. They're not stupid. They have been in your shoes. Everybody in the military
Yeah.
was probably 18 at once. They were probably 19 at once. They were probably 3 months away from being 21 at some point. Don't think that you are the smartest person in the room just because you are off your rocker. You are not. And definitely one of the smartest things to do is to tell the truth. Because if you're telling the truth and accept the consequences, maybe the consequences will be lesser, as opposed to trying to hide the fact that you were doing something that you weren't supposed to do. So, if you get caught underage drinking, which you shouldn't be doing in the first place, or God forbid you do, and you don't have a plan, you are in the wrong, and you need to accept the consequences.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen friends get busted because they don't have a plan. And unfortunately,
A lot of my friends have lied about underage drinking, and it is unfortunate. I'm not going to name names because there's no point. But, for those of you that are listening, you know who you are. And unfortunately, I am so sorry if you have gotten caught in the past. I remember there was one specific story that sticks out very, very vividly in my mind. And I don't know if I was on duty that day or what happened, but I stayed in for the night. I didn't go out, I didn't party, but I was asleep in my rack. And I hear on the 1MC, so the big intercom system, that there's an all hands meeting, meaning everyone in the building has a meeting to go outside and muster in your duty sections. And so all of us super duper confused are like walking out of the building in our PJs, super duper cold. We were not about this life. Like,
What time was it?
so tired. Oh God, this was like maybe 11:30, 12 o'clock or so at
Okay.
night. So it was very, very late. So what happened, the story was that there was a girl that underage drank. She went to an Airbnb party or hotel party or whatever she went to, took a taxi back to the barracks, puked in the taxi, did not pay the taxi's extra fee for puking in it, which that is a thing. You have to pay the taxi driver. I think it's like $250
It
more
is. It is
plus your
not
fee.
cheap. It is not cheap at
No,
all.
no, it's not. So she did not pay the fee. She ran into the building, went to her room, changed clothes, probably puked her guts up a little bit more, I don't know, and then ran back outside in different clothes, and then hopped back into another cab and went back to the party. So all of us had to stand outside because the taxi driver thought that the girl was still in the barracks. And so they wanted to get the girl so then she could just get her money and go about her merry way.
Yeah.
And so we had to wait outside for about 2.5, 3 hours trying to find this girl. And so this taxi driver gave a very vivid description of like, this girl looks like this, and this. And then every single female that looked like that and was wearing that specific like color coordinated outfit, it was like black shorts and like a pink top or something. And it's like,
Ooh.
most people are wearing black shorts.
Super
So it's like,
specific.
right. And so it was so annoying. I was like, come on. Three
Yeah.
hours they spent trying to find this girl, only to find out we never caught her until the day after. And we called them MTIs. I don't know what it stands for, but they're like pretty much the babysitters of the building.
Military
Um,
training instructor.
there it is. They called on the 1MC that Liberty was not going to be dropped on that Saturday until the girl confessed. And so I had plans. I don't know about you. I had plans because that was my birthday weekend. I was going to go and celebrate my birthday that
As you
weekend,
should.
as I should. And so, all of my buddies were waiting on me and they were like, oh, like, are you going to come? Like, where are you at? Like, why aren't you coming? Like, we're going to wait for you, but like, we don't know how much longer we can wait. And I was like, listen, we're on like lockdown right now. We're trying to figure out where this girl is. This girl finally confessed at like 10 a.m. the next morning.
Yeah.
Typically, Liberty gets dropped, I think it got dropped at like 7,
Yeah.
I think. I can't remember, but it was very early in the morning when Liberty got dropped. And it was 3 hours later. My roommate and I were just so mad because we both had plans, and it was really, really annoying. So, moral of the story, don't underage drink and don't lie. Please do not lie. Like, that's what can happen. Other people pay for your actions because you don't own up to them. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So, good times. I remember that.
I think going off of that and going off this underage drinking tangent, we can kind of relate this back to the whole financial stuff in that you should at least have an idea, maybe a plan, but if you are just letting your money accrue and are not doing anything with it, and you don't need to. You don't need to invest anything. You don't need to move it into your savings. You can just have it stay in your checking account. But at least have an idea in your mind. You don't need to write anything down, but have an idea of, okay, for these 2 weeks, I am going to spend no more than $100. And I know that $100 over 2 weeks sounds like so little money, because how can you do food every night for $100? How can you go out and drink with all your friends for $100? The answer to that is you can't.
That's the
Most of the
point.
time, at least in A school and or AIT and or any schooling that is after boot camp or basic training, food will be provided. And you are already paying for it more than likely, right? So if you are paying extra for something that is already given to you and you're already paying for, that, in my opinion, isn't very intelligent. And
No.
I am not saying that you shouldn't go out with your friends and you shouldn't have fun on the weekends when you can. But I know that one of my favorite things to do with my best friend who I was there with was we would go downtown and we would just go for a walk. We would maybe go and buy coffee or a drink, but the coffee was no more than $5, $6, and all we did was just walk and talk, maybe sit down on the bench, but we didn't spend hundreds of dollars on a hotel for the weekend. And I'm not saying that we didn't do that, but you don't need to do that every weekend. And I know there was a point when my best friend was having not a breakdown per se, but just like having an epiphany to where they had thought they had done nothing the entire time. And I was talking to them and I said, okay, if you want to do more stuff, and when I say more stuff, I mean more stuff to better your career, or to make it so that when you are up for advancement, you you might have the edge. And at that moment, my best friend was like, I've done nothing my entire time here, and I just feel like I've wasted time. And my solution to that was, okay, we are going to stay on base for this weekend, and we did have plans prior, but I said we can stay on base. We can do some volunteer events because there's a volunteer event every weekend, and we can go to the Liberty Center where there are some computers, and we can do some more stuff that would help benefit their career. So it is not always about spending so much money on making memories, because you can make memories in so many other ways than buying all the alcohol and getting off your rocker and then trying to sneak back on base because you are off your rocker and you're underage. You don't need to do that. If you find the right
No.
people, and if you are willing to bite the bullet and say, I don't want to be in high school anymore. I don't want to be always, always on the edge of, oh my gosh, am I going to get caught? You don't have to. All you have to do is find the right people and just commit to saving money with them. And I am so glad that I found this person, and I am very happy to be best friends with them still to this day.
That's crazy. No, I'm joking. I'm trying to think of other things. Oh, tattoos. Tattoos.
Ooh, tattoos is a huge one too.
Oh.
People love tattoos.
Okay, I am guilty. I splurged and I got one in C school, not in A school. So
Okay.
got you there. Um, I had a lot of friends that got so many tattoos in A school, and I'm not saying like, oh, one or two. It was an addiction.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I'm like, you just dropped at minimum like
$100.
$200. 200
Yeah.
at like minimum, because they would upcharge
Yeah.
because they knew like tattoo shops are evil on base. Like they just knew. Not on base, but like right outside of base they were. My roommate had spent $900. 900
Yeah.
on a leg tattoo.
That's a lot of
I'm
money.
like, oh, that's an entire paycheck is what
Yeah.
that is. My other friend, she spent 600 on a huge back tattoo. Um, and that's not including shading. I'm trying to think what else. A lot of people would try to like start their like sleeves that they would have, like the iconic military sleeves.
Mhm.
And I feel like, I don't know about you, I can only vouch for the females here, but I feel like there were so many more females that got tattoos over males. I just, that is just my personal opinion. I don't know many males that got tattoos in my class in A school.
So I know there definitely were people who were getting tattoos. Uh, I remember there was this one guy, and I forget if he had some tattoos to start with, but I remember as I was about to leave, and as my time there was wrapping up, I remember seeing this guy's arm, and like he just had so many more tattoos. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. That is your decision. It is your money. In my opinion, I just don't think that it is a intelligent financial decision to spend an entire paycheck or half a paycheck or even a quarter of a paycheck on something that isn't going to be benefiting you in the long run. Like yes, like it might make your like mind at ease, or it might be a great memory. And if you've been wanting a tattoo for your entire life, and now you finally have the money to, absolutely go for it. There is There is nothing wrong with that in my eyes. But again, the financial side of my mind is always thinking, well, that's say $500. What can I do with $500? Can I live off that for what? 2 months? Yeah. Can I invest $500? Yeah. There 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 are a lot of uses for money, and I think people often get caught up in in the the moment decisions where, oh, it'll look so cool and I've been wanting this for so long. Well, in reality, if you've been wanting it for so long, why not wait a bit longer when you have some more money and you can go to a really good tattoo artist and you can get what you've been dreaming about for the past however long. People outside of A school or at your first commands, they know, they are well aware that there are a lot of new people there who just got out of boot camp or basic training, and they know that you guys have however much money, and they know that there's nobody looking over you telling you, hey, you probably shouldn't buy that. They are aware, and they will take advantage of you.
Yeah.
We were talking about
Especially the
upcharging for
taxi
tattoos.
drivers.
That too, but we were talking about upcharging. A lot of people upcharge, and if you're new to a place, like most of us are, it is very hard to know, okay, a taxi should probably only cost $15, but because you're new and you are in the moment and you just want to get off base and go to the beach, they might charge you $30, $45, and because you're desperate and because you didn't ask that question at first, you will be paying for it. And if it was only supposed to cost 15 and they charge you 45, that is now $30 that you can't spend on your trip to the beach or the trip to the mall. So definitely be aware of just everything. And I know that it's a lot to take in, at least right now, that like, oh, like people are gonna upcharge me. Like I can't underage drink. What am I supposed to do? I understand that it's a lot to take in, but take it one step at a time. And if all it is you not going to the fast food place on base once a night, and you are saving money on that one night, that is a step. And all you have to do is just keep on taking steps, and you will get to where you want to be.
Yeah, well said. That's that's probably my biggest like takeaway overall from like what I've learned in case. I mean, again, I went to college prior to this, so saving money wasn't an issue for me. But I
Mm-hmm.
know I had a friend, and this is the last story I'm going to tell before I move on to the next topic. I had a friend that texted me. She went to a different command than I did. 'Cause she had a different job, and she texted me saying, "Oh my God, I have to buy sheets and blankets for my rat."
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you do. That's a part of adulting. If you don't know, military issued things that you were given are not crime. They are the bare minimum that will do the job.
Yes.
I would recommend buying your own sheets, your own blankets, depending upon how long your schooling is. It is a comfort thing, and it is just one thing that will help you get through that situation and make it a little less shitty. So I
Mm-hmm.
am all about getting sheets. I wouldn't like get embroidered sheets that are super bougie. I would get like go to Target and get like a throw blanket, like something
Yeah.
super cheap, not expensive, but it's a comfort thing at the end of the day. So take it with what you want. Um, I guess final thing, going off like financial things, you're gonna get the option when you are in A school of choosing where you want to go to your next command, whether that is East Coast or West or overseas. It just depends. For me, I chose East Coast because I knew East Coast was a lot more cheap than West Coast is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and caveat to that is that I've heard that the East Coast is not quote unquote as nice because there aren't many options on the East Coast as there are West Coast. And my command that I'm going to next is one of the commands that everyone despires going to. I, however, like it. I have not been there, but I chose it because it's closer to home. So if I have to pay for a plane ticket, it's not
Yeah.
going to be close to $1,000. Like, it is just a couple hundred. And then I can get home faster if, God forbid, an emergency arises and, I have to get there. But again, I'm thinking long term. I'm not thinking right in front of me. But I know a lot of people who live on the West Coast wanted West Coast orders for that reason. And then there are other people that you're going to meet that, don't even want to be anywhere near home. And so they'll choose the complete opposite. But you also have to keep in mind that sometimes you don't get what you want for your orders. I know a lot of my Marine buddies chose one side of the U.S. and they got the complete opposite. It's just the luck of the draw. It really is. Let's talk about AAP since we're talking about orders. What is that?
So AAP stands for Accelerated Advancement Program. So I know that some A schools and some schools after boot camp or basic training offer it. I know that my rate does. I know that other rates do. But what it is it is essentially something that you can earn that says that you were smart in A school, or you were able to place in the top 2 or in the top 1 or to be in the top 10% of your class. And similar to boot camp, where your RDCs or your drill instructors, where they can promote 10% of your division, it is essentially the same thing in A school. So if you are in the top 10% of your class and your A school permits it, because I know that not everyone does, but if you're in the top 10%, you are able to get this thing called AAP. And what that is it is essentially a pretty big foot in the door into making the next rank. So a lot of the times it is making it from E3 to E4, and the requirements for it is you will have to be at least 4 months into your command, and you can not wait to use it. You can use it no later than 10 months into your command. But what it does is it essentially gives you the rank of E4, and at least in the branch that I'm in, there is a period when you are not paid the rank that you have earned, and you have to wait until you have essentially earned that rank again, and then you'll be paid that rank. So with AAP, what it does is it allows you to get paid the same day you make rank, and that is very unique in the fact that AAP and mapping, which is meritoriously advancing somebody, where the CO of your base says that you are doing a good job and they think that you have earned the next pay grade, so they will advance you to the next pay grade. That and AAP, to my knowledge, are the only things that allow you to be paid the same day. So with AAP, the secret to it per se is as simple as just being involved and putting forth an effort when you are in school and asking those questions that you think you want to ask but you aren't sure because you don't want to look dumb. But it is something that you should definitely ask your instructors about, and and look into possibly doing, because it is a way to get ahead, and it is one of the easiest ways to make E4, because all you have to do is just listen and know the material that your instructors are teaching, and you will probably be in the top 10%. And if not, then that's fine, but you will at least have a better idea, and you will be more informed when you do make it to your next command, because it is always better. It is always better to be over prepared than to be underprepared.
Great. I I know that I definitely slacked off when I was in A school. It's not saying that I didn't try, because I definitely did. I studied a lot. I gave a shit when it was time to give a shit, but overall, I know that I could have applied myself just a tad bit more. But I knew that going in. So, say for instance, in boot camp, you can only graduate boot camp as high as E3, unless, of course, if you go to what's it called? Honor Guard? Is that what it's called? Honor Guard?
Something like that, yeah.
So, yeah, so Honor Guard is like you do very special ceremonies for fallen military members. And with that, you get automatic E4 promotion. But that's a whole separate thing in and of itself. But if you are in a regular division and you get one of those opportunities to be one of like the higher ups that we were talking about, so like one of your lead people in your division, so your RPOC, AROC, Yeoman, etc. Then you have the opportunity of advancing to E3 if you are an E2. For
Or
me,
or it was E2 to, or it was from E1 to E2.
yes. It varied. However, for me, when I went in, I was already in E3 because of my college credit. I could not advance anymore, so getting a meritorious was not important to me. And in fact, I gave up my position to a girl that was E1 or E2, so she could get a little bit extra pay at the end of the day. So benefiting other people, really, it shows your character, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
However, like I said, in A school, I didn't really care. I knew that from E3 to E4, I'm in rate at that point. And then eventually getting good evals once you get to your ultimate command. So at this point, it was just a matter of time. I didn't really care about getting AAP at this point. I really didn't.
Yeah.
I know for some people it mattered a lot, and then for others it didn't. I was just trying to get through, because at that point I did not like my command. I was not very thrilled of being there at that point. It was just taking forever to get through to the schooling. It felt like it was just very redundant of what I was learning. Trying to think. Oh, can you change your orders with AAP? Let's talk about that.
So you cannot. So the way it worked, at least in our schoolhouse, is if you were number one in the class. No, if you were, I forget the specific terminology, but it is like if you are the like most like well-rounded sailor, or the most well-rounded person, you will then, I think, get like honor grad, and with that you can then have the option to possibly change your orders. And I say possibly because there's no guarantee. If you ask for something and there are no orders out there that fit that description, then you'll have the same orders. But there is a possibility to get a second look, or to request something if you want to. And like I said, that only applies to people who are in honor grad. So whether you're class leader or or you are the most well well-rounded person, it will go to that person, and they will then have the opportunity to possibly change their orders.
I had a female in my class who, oh God, it's like everything that she did, it was perfect. Like she just touched it and it just turned to gold. She was
Yeah.
so good. Anyways, um, she she had been at my command for about a year at that point, because she got dropped out of a schoolhouse, for I think it was just for medical reasons. I'm not entirely sure. I
Hmm.
don't know the whole background story. I've heard different versions. I don't really know. Nonetheless, um, she worked her ass off. And when I say she worked her ass off, I mean she did everything. She was involved in probably everything that she could put her mind to. She was in color guard or choir or whatever she did
Yeah.
that A school students do. She's what people call guide, which is like the lead sailor of your schoolhouse. She was holding accountability for every single class that was in that specific rate, um, as well as the other like sub rates that came off of our like umbrella rate as a whole. Um, oh, what else did she do? She was our class lead for a little bit of time, but then it changed because she couldn't be class lead and guide. Um, she was, oh, what else? She was a phenomenal PTer. Oh my gosh, she could PT her butt off. She was outstanding. She was just a very well-rounded student as a whole. And so with that, that let her be able to change her what was it called? To change her orders at the end of the day. She didn't like her orders of where she was originally going on the West Coast, and she changed them to East Coast orders, and they allowed it. The DA allowed it, and it was, is that what they're called? The DA?
Hmm.
Yeah, the DA. The person that was in charge of our orders and us
Yeah.
leaving that command and going to the next command. They allowed it. So yeah, she did very well, very, very well for herself. So I give her mad props. Um, Looking at my list, so we talked about friend groups. Um, let's touch a little bit more based on that. We didn't really talk too in depth. We just talked about financial problems, but
Yeah.
friend groups in general. I had so many friend groups when I went through a school, and not for bad reasons. Friend groups come and go depending upon when those specific people get there at that command and
Yeah.
when they have to leave because of their job, and also their branch. So I'll let you go because I had a lot of friend groups, so I have many stories I can tell about this.
Yeah. So I had, when I first got to my command, there were some people who went to boot camp with me, so I know with them quite a bit. Uh, but as time progressed, I I was definitely the person who would stay on base more than go off base. I think there were only a handful of times when I actually went off base, which is fine. I I definitely saved a lot of money. Uh, yeah. So I had that friend group, and then as they graduated or as they left for the next command, it was it was definitely sad. It was it was kind of annoying, you could say, in that you had spent so much time with them, and now they're going, but that is that is in essence what the military is, right? It is you going to a command, meeting new people, and if you choose to stay in, or if you are just starting and you are in A school, or at your training after boot camp, you will you will probably be going to a different command than the people that you met there, right? So while it does suck, it is a part of your journey, and you will hopefully learn from it. But after that friend group, it was it was sort of a transition period into I met somebody who I had known prior to joining, and he and I started to hang out quite a bit. And then I met my best friend that I was talking about earlier, and we hung out, gosh, probably every day, and we had chow, and we ate together, uh, and we ended up going off base almost every weekend, and that was of course except for when we wanted to stay on base and put our minds and put our bodies back to work into furthering our careers. But I suppose I really only had like two main friend groups, and I think the first one we were definitely on base a lot more, and the second one we ventured off base a bit more, but it was never our primary focus to spend money. And I think something big to think about and to acknowledge is that you are the culmination of your, I think it's your five closest friends, right? So the people who you choose to hang around with is who you will end up becoming, right? So if you are choosing to hang out with people who are always drinking, who are always breaking the rules, who are doing things that if you knew that your parents saw you doing, or if you knew that you didn't want to do, then you should probably not hang out with them, right? So I think the biggest takeaway from the possible friend groups that you may have is be aware that not everybody has the same intention as you or have the same experiences as you, because everybody's different. And with that, if you don't like them or you don't like the decisions they make, you can still be friends with them, but you do not have to hang out with them. And I know that I compared A school or AIT to high school, but there is so much drama, and you will get pulled into it. And just like in high school, it wasn't fun. Your name will probably get dragged through the mud a little bit, but the benefit to that is at some point it will rain and you will get cleaned off, and all you can do is just take what you've learned, because hopefully you have learned, and adjust and pivot and move in a direction that you want to go in.
I agree. I agree. Like I said, I have so many friend groups that I had unfortunately learned that lesson. Um, I'd say my first friend group that I had when I was there were a bunch of Marines. Um, I hung out with them almost every weekend for about majority of my time there. It's about half of my time that I was there. Um, I would go out. I would spend a lot of money with them. I would um, go to Airbnbs with them, have Airbnb parties. They would drink, so they were of age, so they could drink.
Mm-hmm.
They would just buy so much food, and we would cook, and it was actually really great. They were like my brothers and sisters. It was really really cool, because I've never really had a friendship like that where, you hear about like the girls and the guys, and then like somebody eventually like starts dating someone, but like genuinely in that friend group, it was like they were my brothers and sisters, and it was strictly just that. It was really, really cool to have that relationship and know that it wasn't going to be weird and like, oh God, like I don't know if I should hang out with them because like, oh, like I don't know, like
Yeah.
it wasn't weird like that. Unfortunately though, they had to leave early. Their class graduated prior to me graduating, because they were there longer than me and their schooling was shorter, so they had to go to the next command. They were a different rate than I was. I want to say they were AEs, whatever that is. I don't know the specific number. I know they're like 59s, they're 63s, there's something else. I don't know the other ones, but they were different than us. I think their schooling was like 2 months shorter than ours.
Yeah.
I don't know. Second friend group, they too liked to drink a lot. They were party animals. I don't want to say they were bad people, because I understand that everyone has their situation that they're going through, but more times than not, they liked to drink, and then they liked to complain, and then get into their feels, and then it was a very, very toxic friendship that unfortunately I had to let go of. I myself could not mentally take what they were saying to me anymore. It wasn't negative towards me, but they were very upset with the fact that I had to cut myself off from that. And like you said, sometimes you do have to make that ultimate decision of, okay, are these people really going to benefit me in the long run or not? And it's hard, because that's a relationship that you just built with somebody, and it's already hard to be in the military without your hometown friends as it is, but now you've made this new connection with people that are going through the same BS that you are, and it's like, okay, well, since you're going through it and I'm going through it, like, let's be friends,
Yeah.
and you just click, and then it just hits off from there. But sometimes you really do need to distinguish and take a step back from the whole situation and say, is this going to benefit me financially, mentally, physically? Like, if they don't benefit you in the long run, they probably are not your friends. You also find out your friends really, really quick in really, really hard situations. So, case point right here. I had a friend group. I was not involved in this, but I had a friend group in which all of them were caught underage drinking. They had to pay a fine to the taxi driver because they puked in the taxi. And one of them got thrown under the bus more than the other, and ended up being put on restriction. And at that point, when they got thrown under the bus, it was like just name dropping left and right and just everywhere. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So you really, really find out your friends of who's going to stick with you through thick and thin, who's going to rat on you, who's not.
Yeah.
That's one of the big things that I really liked my Marine buddies. They wouldn't rat on each other. They wouldn't. They were brothers. It was like a brotherhood and a sisterhood that was just unbreakable with that group. It was really, really cool to see. Let's see what else. My third friend group that I was with, I thoroughly enjoyed wholeheartedly. They were so great. They were like, I'm like smiling just talking about them right now. They were probably my best friend group that I had there out of all of them. There was only 4 of us, myself included. We were a very close-knit group of people. We would go out on the weekends, and then, each of us had like that one other person, but as like a whole, we were like the quad. It was really funny listening to all of us have our inside jokes, and then everyone like, oh, like, what are you talking about? What do you? It's funny because 3 of us are in the same class, and we would make a plan for like, okay, like, what are we gonna do this weekend? And then we would inform the other who was in the other class, and not to be petty, but like other people would hear our conversations and be like, oh, well, I see how it is. You don't want to invite us. Ugh. Like, they would get so butthurt, and it's like, but you're not a part of the group. Like, you're gonna cause more drama than you are actually gonna cause a good time. And so we really did keep our friend groups, which was very, very nice and very refreshing. Like, these people didn't cause bad mental health to happen. They more or less lifted each other up. They didn't blow each other's money left and right. it was a really, really good time. And that's what I really, really do enjoy about that friend group altogether. Um, the party scene. Party scene?
Yeah.
Are you a partier? Are you a partier?
So I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a party animal, right? I
Absolutely you are.
I party every weekend. And yeah,
At
no.
least that
So
you're making this podcast.
so I went to maybe two, maybe three parties, and I know the first one I went to, it was for Thanksgiving. So that was super nice, just being off base, being away from all of the BS, and excuse me. And I actually went to an Airbnb with most of my class, and we just had a good time. We we made food. We enjoyed the food, and the food turned out to be so great. But that was a great weekend. And then I went to a different party, and this is where I actually met my best friend. But so my friend who I had met prior to joining the military, he was super bored in his room, and I was super bored in my room, and he texted me, "Yo, what are you doing?" I of course said nothing because I wasn't doing anything, and he said, "Well, do you want to go to a party?" And I said, "Who else is gonna be there?" And he then said the list, and on that list of people, there there was this one person that I had been wanting to at least talk to for a while, and I then said yes. And when we got to the party, it was definitely a party in that there was alcohol, there was everything that a high school or a college party would probably be. There was loud music, and the crazy part about this is this party was at the same Airbnb that I had went to for Thanksgiving. So I'd already known like the entire layout, which is fine. But we get there, and there's people who are underage drinking, and I'm not going to say names because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. But there was stuff that was happening that had anybody been called, had the police shown up, a lot of people would be in trouble. And so I showed up, and I being sober, and I being someone who follows the rules, I did not drink. So I was sober, and seeing everybody off their rockers, and the person who I wanted to talk to, they were also sober as well, and they were doing the job of just like making sure that everyone wasn't dying, which is a very hard job and is very taxing on the mind, especially when there are so many people who are not like trying to hurt themselves, but are almost in that situation very often. Uh, so I saw the person who I wanted to talk to there, and the party was definitely coming down when me and my buddy got there, which is fine. But I saw the person that I wanted to talk to cleaning, and I asked them if they needed help, of which they said, "Sure, you can start on the dishes." And that question and that night has proved to be the night that I met the best friend that I was talking about, and a a overall great relationship, and I am very happy to say that we are still talking, and the friendship is definitely still there. Uh, But yeah, the party scene, which is the original topic, uh, it can definitely be overwhelming. And if you aren't a party animal, like myself, I would say go to a party. You don't need to drink. You don't need to do anything that you don't want to do. But if your friend invites you out to a party, or if your friend invites you out to a gathering of maybe just your class members, at least do it once and show everybody what you are like outside of base. And not only is that super refreshing for you and your mental health, but it is also nice for everybody in your class or everybody who you hang out with on base to just see the other side of you.
I agree. And even, you mentioned going to the party scene and you don't even have to drink. You can just literally just people watch. Honestly, watching drunk people is kind of amusing. Not gonna lie.
It is very funny.
um, if the party scene isn't um, your realm, go to a restaurant, go to the beach. If you want to go to a club or to a bar if you're of age, go there. But please don't just be a homebody and sit in your barracks room all day and just be miserable. Please don't do that, because you have joined the military, and I'm telling you right now, this is your prime time of making memories. It really, really is. You were young, you were able-bodied, you made it into this organization that your country has provided for safety reasons, yes, but you have made it in to this less than 1% of the population that is willing to sign the dotted line and give their life away for however many years. Make the most of it. Really, really make the most of it. Make these friendships, because I'm telling you right now, later on down the line, these friendships are going to come in handy, whether you know it or not. They will come back and they'll pop back up in your life, and you will be grateful that you were seeing them once again. So don't burn bridges. Make memories, make friendships. It is worth it. I promise you it is.
Yeah.
The right ones are, at least. Let's talk about PT. What is PT?
So PT is physical training. I know that our school and our base had PT for the students, and this can be before school, so at like 04, which is a bit early, or it can be after school, so at like 1400, maybe even a bit later. But it is something that is put in place to at least try and hold the line that boot camp set for, excuse me, to at least try and hold the line that boot camp set for a lot of the people going into the military. And something along with PT is your annual or your semi-annual physical test for your branch. And hearing from what people have told me, if you fail your physical test, whether it's by 1 push-up, 10 seconds on whatever evolution, or just not having a good day, the possibility for you to make rank decreases by so much. So if your dream is to make the next rank and you don't put an effort towards your PT or your physical fitness, then you are wrong. And if you end up failing it, which I know people who have, and I know people who have not made rank for 3 years because they failed it once. And don't let one bad decision ruin your entire career. PT, while it does suck when it's hot and it's early and it's cold, and there's people that are loud, there are people that are motivated. Take it all with a grain of salt, take it in stride, and if you are just going through the motions, that is fine because you're still doing more than a lot of people. But don't let your PT lack.
I can say wholeheartedly that I know so many of my friends that were in my division that went to my commands for A school. They did not do personal PT on their own time. They did it with their schoolhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as, you're still doing something with your schoolhouse, it's still a joke. Because I don't know about you, but I was a college athlete before this. So the PT that I did in A school was kind of a joke.
Yeah.
It was really, really bad. I barely broke a sweat. I was not very thrilled. So I would go out, even after days of PT, and I would run. Oh my God, there would be so many times. I was in really good shape in A school, actually. I would go out and I would run about 10 miles pretty late. And then on the weekends, I would back it down to about 8 or 9. But I was in very good shape. So the run was not a problem for me.
Yeah.
It was the push-ups. The push-ups were not my friend. But that's beside the point. But it really does matter if, you take the time out of your day, whether it's, 20 minutes to half an hour of going on a walk or doing push-ups in your room or holding a plank or just something just so simple that you can do in your room. Like, that really does set you apart when it comes to PRT day, because I know a lot of my friends here that are at my schoolhouse, they're huge into lifting, but they don't actually do the calisthenics that is required for your PRT. They seldom do runs, which is also very counterintuitive when it comes to PRT day. I mean, you're moving all that weight, that's great, but okay, can you run? Like that, you're just adding more muscle onto your body and more weight onto your body to carry on the run. So it's, really do think about this. I'm not saying don't lift, don't do this, that, and the other, but really do take into account that just because the PRT comes up once a year, that does not mean you get to lack, the 10 or 11 months out of the year until it's like, oh shoot, PRT season's right around the corner. I got to go get into the best shape of my life in 2 months. Don't do that. Just be consistent and you'll be fine. NJPs. What's an NJP?
So NJP is a non-judicial punishment. So for those who are not in the military, think of this as like you going to the principal's office. And the principal, they can give you detention, they can give you a wide variety of stuff, but all it is so you have done something that has broken the rule, and one of the rules that is often broken in a school or in any schooling is underage drinking. And I know that we've been talking about that a lot this episode, but there were so many cases in our command where people were going and underage drinking, and they would come back on base and they would make a mistake. They would show that they are drunk to whoever it is, and they would get caught. And with that, they would lose rank. They would be in restriction for 45 to 60 days. And for those who don't know what restriction is, it is essentially a detention for 60 days. So you are in detention. You are not able to go and talk to your friends. Your friends cannot talk to you. You are...
You can muster.
Yeah. You are very limited into what you can actually do. I know they take your phone away for most of the week, so if you are addicted to your phone, that sucks. But it is an extra hassle that can be easily avoided, and something that is often taken away as well is the CO will often give you half month's pay for 1 to 2 months. And while that doesn't sound horrible, if you are trying to save money or invest money or spend money, if you don't get paid your full amount for however long, you will definitely notice. I cannot tell you how many people who have lost rank, so they lost pay there, and then they get half month's pay, and so they're making even less. And yes, they are in restriction and they aren't spending any money, but it is still annoying and just kind of silly in my mind to lose so much over something as simple as, okay, either A, I just won't underage drink, or B, if I do choose, which is not the greatest of decisions, but if you do choose to, have a plan, and have so many plans to where when you tell your friends that you have a plan, they should get annoyed as to how many plans you have, because I like my money. I think that Shmo likes her money too.
Sure.
And losing money because you made a stupid decision is a stupid idea.
I'm also going to piggyback off of this since we are constantly beating a dead horse with the underage drinking. If you are of age, you can still get in trouble for drinking by providing for minors or drinking and driving.
Mm-hmm.
Those, I can't even tell you how many times I have been not yelled at, but constantly reminded, all right, who here is of age? And then you all raise your hand. All right, what's the number one thing we're not going to do? Drink and drive. All right, what's the other one? Okay, well, don't provide for minors because shebang, and then
Yeah.
they get in trouble, underage drinking, and then it's just a whole vicious cycle. So, yeah, don't provide for minors, don't drink and drive, just be smart. Use your common sense.
Yeah.
Like, come on. I know there are other reasons that you can go on restriction. Another common one in A school, and I don't know why. I really, honestly, I am not this big brained. I am not that street smart. So I don't know if these people thought it was a good idea or even how some people even got away with it. Because some people didn't get caught. I've heard stories, so it just blows my mind of their reasoning as to why this happened. But they would go UA, and that's unauthorized absence.
Yeah.
So meaning you have not returned back to base during the time that you were supposed to return, and whether that's on a duty day or it is a school day or whatever the case may be, you are not currently packed back into the system for your barracks. And with that, there's like a whole like investigation that opens up, and it can get scary because some people are like, oh my god, is this person dead? Are they kidnapped? Like, what is the case? There was a person when I was in a school that went UA for about 30 days.
Same.
And it was weird. It was so weird. They would just, I'm pretty sure, rumor has it, is that they went to Texas. I don't even know where they went. But I heard that their reasoning, and I found this out actually a couple of days ago, their reasoning that they told the higher-ups was they panicked that they were running out of money, so they went back home to like do something financially, when in reality that was not the case, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
But that was their reasoning, and I was like, what? That makes no sense. No sense. It was odd.
Something else people often know to NJP for is stealing. Stealing from stores on base. There are cameras. We are in the 21st century, everybody. I don't know if anybody didn't know that, but with that comes technology. And similar to how you're watching this on YouTube right now, you are probably being recorded, especially when you're in a store. And I cannot tell you how many people I have heard either who stole at boot camp or who are stealing at their ultimate duty station and they have to go see the CO, and if there's cameras and they see your face and it is black and white, right? You stole something. So A, that's illegal. Like,
You don't own it. It is not yours.
yes, everywhere you go, it is illegal to steal. And you are being paid every 2 weeks. And I remember that I've been told multiple times that if if the CEO had heard that you just didn't have the money to buy this this drink or this snack, that they'd be more than happy to just give you $5 as opposed to having you go to restrictions for 60 days or having to lose pay or, God forbid, rank. It it could very well sound stupid, but if you ask someone, "Hey, could you buy me this?" There's no guarantee they will say yes, but people are way more nice than you think. And if you give them a straight up answer saying, "Hey, like I was really stupid with my money this past paycheck and I'm starving," they will probably give in, but they will probably also tell you to go see someone, right? They will probably tell you to go talk to the command financial specialist, of which that is a great resource to use. Everywhere you go, I have talked to mine on base, and I I think of myself as a pretty good and like responsible person with my money, but it is always nice to have other opinions. So don't steal. That's just a bad idea, and it is not worth losing rank and losing pay over.
No, it's not. It's foolish, and you know, imagine having to explain to your loved ones why you didn't graduate on time. God forbid if that happens, because I know many people that have been stuck in restriction and they did not graduate on time because they had to serve their time there.
Yeah.
Imagine having to explain to your parents or your siblings or whoever takes care of you back at home that you messed up because of X, Y, and Z, and now you're stuck there for a little bit longer. Like it's just embarrassing. Just don't do that. Have a little bit of class.
I mean, also, once you get to the fleet and say you are living with your family and you are living with your spouse and you go on restriction, you are not able to leave base for those 60 days, 45 days. So if you want to go home and see your spouse, you just can't, right? It is a bad situation, not only for yourself but for your loved ones. So if you are thinking about stealing, I which I just wouldn't do, but talk to people, and if it is money, talk to your command financial specialist and try to make a plan with them.
If you don't know where they are on your commands, ask one of the higher ups, whether it's E5, E6, your chief or sergeant, staff sergeant, whoever is in charge of your class or your shop or whatever. Talk to them. They will lead you into the right direction, and if they are genuinely on top of their game and they truly give a shit about their juniors, they will provide a phone number for you. I can't tell you how many times I have been provided phone number after phone number at this command by sergeants or staff sergeants or my
People
second
not in
classes
your
or
branch.
first classes. Yeah, like just people are awesome. They really, really do want to see others thrive. At least your higher ups do, and it really sets them apart as opposed to your regular old, Kevins in the shop that are just like, oh, I'm here for a paycheck, and then I'm gonna go and vape and blah 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 blah. Also, side note, vaping and cigarettes, another big spender on base that we forgot to add.
Huge.
OMG! OMG!
Also,
Oh my gosh.
vaping isn't allowed like anywhere in like any government building. So,
Oh, God, no.
P.S. People definitely still do it, but I'm not going to say names. It is definitely still happening. Just be aware that you can get caught, and you can also probably go see the CO for it. So,
Again, it's not worth it. I know back when I was in a school, they did room inspects, and if
mhm,
you had vapes out, or cigarettes weren't bad because they had a smoke pit, but if you had a vape out on your desk or on your dresser or wherever that was visible in sight when they did random room inspects, you would get caught. That goes
yep,
along with drugs and alcohol. It was just a huge no. You just don't do it.
mhm,
So again, be smart. If you're gonna do it off base. Be smart about it.
yeah,
I know. I know a lot of my Marine buddies. Uh, Majority of them were big into vaping, and they would get random searches after school. So they would all have to go form up, muster, and they would all march back as a strand, as like, I don't know how to explain a strand, like a bunch of like classes that are under like this umbrella uh,
as your
grade,
Raider
I guess you could
MOS.
say. Yeah. And then you would march back to your barracks. Sometimes they would have random searches, and I kid you not, they would go to the extent of putting their vapes in their underwear to like hide it because they couldn't pat them down there. They
Yeah.
couldn't. I'm like, it's smart, but at the same time, ew, are you joking? Like,
Also,
what?
if you are going to those extents, guess what? You are probably addicted.
Probably. That's a good one. I know a lot of people would skip out in the middle of class to go hit their vape, or to text whomever, or just something during class. Like, it just made no sense. Um, and then a lot of them would get busted because they would have a higher up walk into the bathroom and see this.
Yeah.
So it's not worth it. It
No, it's
really
really
is
not.
not worth it. Um, Volunteering. You want to talk about that?
So, I know that we touched on what you can do to help benefit your career while you are in your A school or you're training after boot camp or basic training. And one of the big ones, and by big ones I mean like it is very simple to do, uh, but it is volunteering. And no matter how easy it sounds or how much you don't want to do it, or God forbid you're just lazy, volunteering is something as simple as cleaning up a beach for 30 minutes, and then you might get 3 hours of volunteering just because you went, right? So it is doing the little things like volunteering, or like doing research into your next command. It is stuff like that that you can inch ahead of your peers and try and get better in ways that people are often just not going to do because they're lazy.
I agree. There was another opportunity that I had, where I could show up to a meeting, and I don't know, how many hours was it? Was it like 2 hours
It
showing up to
was,
that meeting?
yeah. So the meeting was probably 20 minutes max. And after the meeting was done, you would write your name on this list, and maybe like a week would go by, and you would get a letter of appreciation or an LOA saying that the base or the chaplain on base is happy and appreciates the fact that you took time out of your day, and they are now awarding you 2 hours of volunteering. And I know for the branch that we are in, there is a ribbon you can get for having X amount of hours of volunteering. And I know it does change per base, but that is an award. And when your eval comes, that is a point that can be added to your eval.
Yeah. I know on my current base that I'm at right now, their big thing is volunteering at this pet shelter.
Mm-hmm.
I went one time and oh my goodness. First of all, it's heartbreaking because that facility is as big as it is, it's still so understaffed and they just don't have the space for these animals. And unfortunately, a lot of them um, are put in cages with like 3 to 4 other animals with them. It is really sad.
Yeah.
So they have volunteers come in to take the dogs out of their cages and to walk the dogs for just, half an hour to get their exercise in for the day, to wear the dogs out. And it's really sad that some of these animals just don't get that because, their previous owners were neglected or were neglecting them or just couldn't take care of them in general, or, they were strays that were found on the side of the road. Not to mention the base that I am on is a very poor state in which my base is located at. It's very sad. It's below poverty lines, unfortunately, for where majority of these people live, and it's very heartbreaking to see. Very much an eye opener too. So that is one volunteer opportunity. I know that there are other ones as well. There's like a hospital ordeal that you can volunteer at.
Yeah.
That's seldom done. I don't really know how you get involved with that. Volunteering at the USO. I know that there are a couple of people that volunteer there. In the USO, being at the airport, so you will see a big USO sign. And one of my buddies just sits there and they'll just monitor the room while, military members and their families come in and wait for the airplanes to come and go. It's really cool. So easy hours to get. Really racking up those volunteer hours, like you said, really does make a difference based on your evals when eval season comes around. Also, e-learnings, doing those as well. I don't know about you. I don't know how, how effective they are, but it's a good way to pass time, and it also helps you get ahead. That's what I'm trying to say. Get ahead in your career. If you're still in the schooling process of either A school or C school, and your next command requires you to have, X amount of e-learnings done with like these specific e-learnings. So there's one that my one good friend sent a list to me, and it was SCBA training. So it was training based on how to put on your SCBA and like your firefighting gear. That's what it is. And so you had to have that requirement done. There was another one that was like ORM that you had to complete. So it was talking about like, how would you combat this situation? There's another one that was like basic sanitary instructions on like wherever you were going or whatever, having those complete and checked off that list prior to you getting to your command, again, is another step ahead that you don't have to spend the time doing once you get there. So that just helps you focus more time on the other things that you have to complete for your indoc stage when you get to that next command. So it's really nice to get ahead.
Yeah. Also with that, there are certain things that have to be completed annually, right? So in the branch that we are in, the huge training that everybody emphasizes you get done is called cyber awareness, and it is something that as you do it, you will get better at it and you will learn the material more, and it is something that needs to be done, and it is just super simple.
My parents just texted me and they sent me a picture of a garden that they just put in. That's so cute. I know, how cute. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't think if there are other like annual. I mean, I know that they come out with like random annual stuff every now and then, or am I just
Hmm.
making that up?
So
Um,
coming from the fleet side, because I am and or was in the fleet, your your higher ups will put out stuff every month saying like you need to have this one done by the end of the month, otherwise you'll be in trouble, right? So this can range from anything that can take 20 seconds, or or it could be a command wide meeting about sapper awareness. It is stuff that you'll be informed about, but trying to stay on top of them is definitely useful.
yeah. And again, it just prevents you from staying out of trouble. And I guess ultimately that is just one hassle that you can keep off of your plate and really help your career as a whole. Um, I don't know. I haven't really been in trouble, knock on wood. God help me with the day that I do, because I'm telling you right now, I'll probably have like a mental breakdown and think about it constantly
Yeah.
if it ever comes to that. I touched on room inspects for a little bit. You want to talk about room inspects in A school, what they were like for you?
So room inspects random
Randomly.
room inspects happen randomly. So there are some rules you have to follow, right? So your floor should be clean, your bathroom should be clean, your bed should be made, and when I say made, it is not boot camp made, right? So it is not the 45 in the corners. It is not the crispest of sheets. Now, I am not going to say that you don't have to put that much effort into your stuff, right? But if you like making your bed, like how you made it in boot camp, go for it. And if the people inspecting your room, if they appreciate that, they might they might give you something positive, right? They might tell you, oh, like nice job on your room. Uh, yeah, but it is definitely something that you should probably think about. Like, oh, like I should probably clean my room, or at least make sure that it's not dirty once a week. You should you should definitely take steps to at least make sure that you are not living in a pigsty. And I know that a lot of people may have come from a home or a place where it is mom or dad like always cleaning up your room or
Mass, yeah.
whatever it is. That is not how it is in the military. And if you fail your room inspection, there will be consequences. And if you continually fail your room inspections, there will be even more. So definitely stay on top of it. Buy some air fresheners because we all know that we stink.
Yeah.
Everybody does. Uh, and I know that at the school that we went to, there could be no trash in your room, right? So if you had trash in your trash bag, in your trash can, even if you had a wrapper, that would still be a failure, right? So I am not saying that you should hide your trash in your closet. I am not saying that. But say if you only have like a wrapper, maybe just put it in your pocket and just like throw it away like at a trash bin, like at a trash can.
I agree. I know a lot of big shit that when I went through. So again, trash is a huge thing. You get a lock. You get a locker. If your lock is not locked on that locker, that is an automatic room failure,
Yep.
regardless if it is yours or your roommate. It does not matter. Um, I know my biggest thing that would always irk me was that all of my roommates that I had shared a room with, which I had 3 roommates because during the time that I was there, because I had a very long school and their schooling was very short. So I was there the longest out of everyone. But 2 out of my 3 roommates would not lock their lock consistently. And I had to be the last one to leave the room to make sure that everything was all copacetic. So no trash, no water on the sink countertop. The mirror was clean. The locks were locked. I'm trying to think of like what else. Oh, dirty clothes. That is another thing. If you have dirty clothes lying about, they will hit you on that too. So whether it's like a purse that you hung on the side of your bed or a jacket, they will hit you on that because that is considered gear gift. So it's not stowed away properly. It is not tidy or folded. It's thrown there, and it just was an easy way to just place it. I know a lot of people got away majority of the time. They would have 3 lockers. So they would have 2 wall lockers, and then they would have this big like metal locker in their room. And if they only had 2 roommates, one of the lockers wasn't being occupied. So they would take their trash can and they would put their trash in that locker until that whole trash bag filled up, and then they would take the trash out, which kind of smart looking at it, but at the same time, ew, kind of gross.
Yeah.
I know black mold was so common in my barracks that I was in. I shared a bathroom in total with 5 girls, including myself. My headmates, so the people that would share my bathroom, had 3 roommates, and then my roommate and I only had 2 girls the majority of the time. It was very frustrating. I had females that would not clean their hair out of the shower, so my drain would get clogged a lot. They would not throw their feminine products away. Some of them left their pleasure toys in the tub area, so that was disgusting.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. They would not clean the hair off the ground. They wouldn't scrub the tub. So a lot of like that pink mold would form around like our bottles or just on the sides of the tub. And like, you know what I'm talking about. It's that like that slimy pink mold that's there. You'd have the black mold that would be on the walls from all the condensation that would be dripping out because people would take really hot showers. So it was a very hot and moist environment.
Yep.
And then you would turn off the lights, so it'd be dark, and it was just, oh my gosh, it was just such a pain. Luckily, I did not have a backed up toilet, and I know that some of my friends did, and so they would have toilet problems, and that would really suck. Mine did not do that. The water, however, I had a really bad water system. My water would always be cold whenever I wanted a hot shower.
Yeah.
Everyone would be using the hot water at the same time to take the showers at the same time. It was really annoying. I'd also have my headmates that would take showers randomly in the middle of the night. At like 2 o'clock in the morning, they would be taking a shower and be like blaring their music.
Hell
what are
yeah.
you doing? Like, what are you doing? Go to bed. Yeah, it was frustrating. My one roommate that I had, she was a gamer, so she would stay up at like all hours of the night to play her video game. She would cuss at the screen, and I'm like, oh my God, I have PT at 4:30 the next day. Like, please, like, I just need my sleep.
Yeah.
She would also be the person. So we would have LED lights strung up at the top corner of our room, and she would turn on the LEDs and sleep with the red lights on because you slept with red lights on in boot camp. So I would not get any sleep in a dark room for about probably 8 months into my military career. I did not actually sleep in a dark room until then. It was really bad.
That sounds fun.
There was one time, yeah, it it was fun sometimes. She was a great roommate, but she would do some things that would really irritate me. There was one situation with her, though, that I will never forget. I was there, I think, my first or second month of being there, and she was not the cleanest person, but she wasn't, like, disgusting.
Yeah.
She went out the night before, and I did not have the phase to go out. So you had your 3 phases. I was not phase 3 to go out and have an overnight. I was still phase 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got up early one morning and I started cleaning the room. And so I was just, folding her things because we had a separate desk that was just kind of like a throw desk that she would just throw her shit on. That was for the extra roommate if there was to be one. And so she just occupied it. I was folding it. I was putting her trash in the trash can that was just everywhere in the room. And so I was like, I'll make her bed too because, I'm going to go out for a little bit of the day. And I don't want a room inspect to randomly happen because they can happen at any time.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be just a during the week thing. It can be on the weekends as well if you give people the reason to do it. So I folded her stuff, made her bed look nice, and there was like a jacket on her bed or something. And there were cockroaches in her clothes on her bed. I screamed bloody murder. There were cockroaches underneath her bed. It was there's about 2 or 3 of them that were just there. I'm like, oh.
They were just chilling?
They were chilling. And I called my mom crying. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. She's like, you literally have a boot. What are you doing? Take your boot and stomp on it. And I was like, oh my god, it's gonna crunch. Like,
And the juices will go on the carpet.
It will. Ew. So, yeah, if you don't clean, guys, you will get cockroaches, you'll get spiders, you'll get other gross gnats, flies, whatever in your room. Just be a consistent cleaner, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I guess, what's another thing? I'd see my list here. So, you're not under constant supervision, which we've touched upon numerous times in this podcast. And by doing so, you have the responsibility of not having mom and dad or whomever do your laundry or wake you up or make you food or giving you your mail. Like, you have to do all of that on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I made the comment about my one friend earlier who texted me saying that she had to buy her own sheets for her bedroom. And she was just absolutely appalled by it. And she didn't really know what to do as a whole. So that was really, really surprising. I mean, she was very young, so she didn't really know what to do after that. So I told her, I said, hey, you have to go and buy this at the Next or wherever, they call it the BX, the Next, or commissary. And that was really funny to see that overall. She didn't really know what to do.
Yeah.
What's another thing? Doing laundry. People do not know, hey, set a timer for laundry, turn it over, and then get your laundry when it's done. That was super surprising for them. What was another? Oh, waking up on time. People, again, for some reason, couldn't wake up on time. They would set an alarm, and that was that. Mustering on time. So if you had duty days, people would forget to set alarms for muster times, and then they would get yelled at for not being there on time, and then you would have your NTIs breathing down your neck or knocking on your door saying, well, where were you at? Why weren't you there? Why didn't you clean? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, checking your mail. You have to be consistent with checking your mail as well. You can't just let it back up. I know at my commands that I'm at currently right now, they will put these red tags in your little PO box. And if you don't get the red tag within 21 days of them putting it in there, they will close your mailbox. So it kind of sucks if you had an overflow of mail and you didn't get it, or a package or whatever. Um, Also, something super basic that I know a lot of people didn't like really think about. You need to eat. You need to plan out
Yeah.
when you're going to eat. Don't neglect that. Don't neglect not eating because, oh, I don't feel like it, or that's just so much effort to get dressed and then to cack out of the system and then go and walk over there and then to stand in a line for 15, 20 minutes. I get it. It's annoying. I didn't want to do it, especially if it was super hot or super cold. Don't get the gidunk food. Please, please, please don't
That's a
just live
lot
off
of
the
money.
gidunk food. It is a lot of money. And sometimes you don't even get your gidunk food if it gets stuck in the vending machine.
Yeah.
So gidunk, by the way, is like a group of vending machines. It's in a room, and it's like a regular vending machine. Or it can be like a mini store, I guess you could
It's essentially
say.
like a snack bar. It is.
Yeah.
It is a
Yeah.
room full of snacks, and
Like a concession stand.
just like your parents have told you, snacks is not a meal. Go
No.
and get a meal at the galley or the chow hall or wherever you get your meals from. But go there first, and if you are still hungry, then you can maybe go to the gidunk or to the snack area, but don't rely on it.
It's my final point I have for A school that I can checking out of the command. I don't really know. There's really not much to like say about it. You're gonna have a different process depending upon where you're going. Joe, I know you had a little bit different of a process than I did.
Yeah.
Because you tended to wait a little bit longer than I did to actually leave to go to your next command. I, however, had a set date. I knew when I was leaving, and I took a van to go from A school to C school. And I left the same day that I graduated A school. But for you, it was a little bit different. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I was at my command for like 30 extra days. And that it was annoying, but that was just something that I had to deal with. Uh, yeah, so I was there for 30 extra days, and I ended up leaving at like 05 or 06 on like a Wednesday or like a Thursday or something. But it it is a process that it depends on how the funding is for your branch or the military in general at that time. Uh, there are a lot of things that can go into it, and being frustrated over it is not a good idea. And similar to how we were talking about like controlling the things that you can control, that is something that you can't control. And if you know when you're leaving, you know when you're leaving, and you can get mad, but you being mad will not change anything.
No. I know for our command that we were there. Oh gosh. So I know, like I said, you were there for an extra month, but they would keep changing your date. They would keep telling you like, oh hey, like this is when you're supposed to leave, and then it would be like a week later, and then a week later, and then
Yeah.
it was just a continual like, okay, sorry, your flight got delayed or your flight got canceled. Let's reschedule for another flight. I know there's a guy there that was there for like 2.5 extra months longer than he was supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know why they were backed up. I really don't. It just, like you said, it just depends upon the funds and whether or not your next location is backed up. If you're going to another school, I know for my next schooling, we were not backed up at all. We had a lot of space available in the barracks or the female wing that I am currently in right now. And like the schooling system, like for now that I have, so I'm not going to get too in depth with it, but schooling system now, the class is maybe 15 people, if that. 10 to 15 people, like it's a really tiny environment. So
Yeah.
it's not like they don't have the space. Um, and during your depending upon what class you're in for my command, you have 7 different classes that can go on at the same time. But they choose not to do that. I think there's typically around 3 or 4 classes that go on at once in different blocks, depending on what you're going through. But that's for a whole other video that we can get into. I'm trying to think. I know if you were going farther, so our A school is on the East Coast. If you were going on the West Coast, that typically takes longer for you to leave to go to your next command. However, if you are on the East Coast and you're going to another command that's maybe an hour or 2 away, you'll probably leave a lot sooner than the people that are going to the West Coast, just because of the cost and how long it takes to get there as a whole, which kind of sucks. Hence another reason why I chose the East Coast orders, because I can wait. So again, thank you, farther ahead.
Yeah.
Wow. Episode 3.
Is that it?
I think so.
Alright.
Did we skip anything? I don't know.
I don't think we have.
I don't think we did either. Anyways, we'll link that link in the description box below to further explain where your A schools will be at, or what your specific rates are. And when I say like where, I mean like the state. I think it'll say the name of your command. I'm not entirely sure. But again, if you are still kind of concerned about it, you can also look on your orders. It will tell you as well. Or if you don't have orders yet because you didn't go through boot camp, talk to your recruiters about it. That is their job. That is one thing that they can do for you.
Yeah.
So guys, this is a wrap. Episode 3.
Episode 3.
We are done. We are ready to hit it and continue on with our day. Thank you for listening, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Hello, hello, hello. My name's Joe.
And I am Shmo.
And this will be episode 3 of our podcast.